The summer sun beat down on the rolling hills of Maplewood, Tennessee, in July 2024, when I rolled up to my granddad Walter Tate's farm. I was expecting the usual fresh peach cobbler, stories of his days as a civil engineer, and maybe a ride on the horses he'd always dreamed of raising. But the moment I turned onto the gravel road leading to his place, my heart sank. A shiny steel fence, glinting like a smug warning, blocked the entrance. A sign screamed, "No entry. HOA property. Trespassers will be prosecuted." My name's Caleb Tate, and let me tell you, I nearly choked on my own breath when I saw Granddad Walter squaring off against Patricia Langley, the HOA's self-appointed dictator, her navy blazer as crisp as her attitude. Granddad, though, he was about to turn that fence into her worst nightmare. If you've ever tangled with HOA nonsense, you'll want to stick around. This story's got twists that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about property rights and neighborhood power games. Granddad's farm, which he'd bought just 8 months earlier to live out his retirement dream, was a slice of old-world charm. Its weathered red barn and sprawling pecan trees stood in stark contrast to the manicured lawns of the adjacent Pinecrest Estates, an HOA-controlled suburbia where every mailbox matched. That gravel path to his gate had been his lifeline, the only way in and out. Now, it was barricaded, and Patricia was claiming it as HOA turf. I parked my truck and started filming on my phone, sensing trouble brewing. Patricia's black SUV screeched to a halt, kicking up dust like a scene from a western. She marched toward Granddad, clipboard in hand, her voice dripping with that I'm-in-charge smugness. "Mr. Tate," she said, waving a stack of papers, "this path is Pinecrest Estates property, and your unauthorized use ends today." Granddad, leaning against his old Ford pickup, arms crossed, didn't flinch. His eyes had that glint, the one that meant he was already 3 steps ahead. "Ma'am," he said, calm but sharp, "I've been driving this path since I bought this land. It's mine, clear as day." Patricia's smile was all teeth, no warmth. "According to her surveys, this is community property. Sign here to transfer usage rights, or we'll have problems." Granddad glanced at her papers for half a second before handing them back. "These wouldn't fool a first-year law student," he said, his voice steady but laced with steel. Patricia's face twitched, her blazer suddenly looking too tight. "Your farm's dragging down our property values, Mr. Tate. The horses, the rustic it's not our standard." That's when Granddad's grin turned dangerous. "Standards, huh? Well, Patricia, if you think a fence can stop me, you're about to meet a gate with a mind of its own." I kept filming as neighbors started to gather. Sarah Mitchell, a local baker who'd been out for her evening walk, stopped dead, her eyes wide. Granddad called over to his buddy, Tom Carver, who was tinkering with a vintage Chevy in his driveway. "Tom, mind checking those property markers we had surveyed last month?" Tom nodded, giving Patricia a look that said he'd had his own run-ins with her. As Patricia stormed back to her SUV, muttering about uncooperative residents, Granddad turned to me, that old spark in his eyes. "Caleb, it's time this fence learned some manners." The sun dipped low, casting long shadows, and I knew I was about to witness something epic. 2 days later, I pulled up to find Granddad had been busy. Where the fence once stood, he built a wooden toll booth, painted bright green and orange, with a sign that read, "Tate's Toll Plaza, $5 per pass. Exact change only." The real genius was the Gadium mechanical marvel with sensors that snapped shut if you tried to sneak through. Granddad sat in the booth, baseball cap tilted back, grinning like he'd just invented electricity. "Welcome to the plaza," he said as I approached. "Pay up or park it." I was still laughing when Patricia's SUV roared up, clearly expecting to bulldoze her way through. Instead, she met Granddad's gate, and let me tell you, it didn't budge. She leaned out her window, yelling, "This is extortion. This is HOA land." Granddad leaned forward, calm as ever. "Ma'am, this is my road. $5 or find another route." The gate's sensors were faster than Patricia's temper. When she tried to inch forward, it slammed shut with a clang that echoed like a gunshot. She backed up, tried again, and got the same result. Her honking did nothing but draw a crowd. Tom rolled up in his Chevy, slapped a 5 on the counter, and said, "Best money I've spent all year." Granddad handed him a handwritten receipt. Toll paid. Freedom granted. I couldn't stop filming, it was too perfect. But Patricia wasn't done. Within hours, a security van pulled up, 2 guys in fake official uniforms demanding Granddad vacate HOA property. Granddad didn't blink. "Show me a warrant, your IDs, and proof you've got any right to be here," he said. When they couldn't, he suggested they call their boss before trespassing. They left, tails between their legs. I posted the video online that night, and by morning, it had 12,000 views. Comments poured in, people sharing their own HOA horror stories. Granddad, meanwhile, upped the ante with a VIP pass club, $60 a month for unlimited gate access, a laminated card with the Tate Farm logo, and priority parking at local events. Within a week, 30 neighbors signed up, including Sarah, who said she was done with Patricia's power trips. But not everyone was on board. Some neighbors, loyal to Patricia's vision of cookie-cutter perfection, grumbled about the tolls creating a class system. They weren't wrong, but they missed the point. Granddad was fighting for control of his own land, not just a $5 bill. Then Sarah dropped a bombshell. She'd been digging into Patricia's past and found shady stuff. Patricia had been fired from a property management gig for financial discrepancies, a polite way of saying she'd been skimming funds. Sarah suspected Patricia's HOA fees, which had spiked over the past year, weren't going to community improvements as claimed. This wasn't just about a path, Anna Maria, it was about corruption. The tension ratcheted up when a legal notice arrived, delivered by a nervous courier. It was from Bennett and Sons, attorneys at law, accusing Granddad of extortion and demanding the toll booth's removal within 72 hours. Granddad read it, chuckled, and tore it to shreds on camera. "This firm doesn't exist," he said, pointing out the cheap paper and sloppy legal jargon. The video went viral, hitting 60,000 views by nightfall. Patricia didn't stop. She started whispering rumors, claiming Granddad was a troublemaker. Someone even left trash by his gate, subtle enough to look accidental but clear in its intent. For the first time, I saw Granddad falter. One evening, as we stood by the empty horse pens he'd built for his dream, he looked worn. "Caleb," he said quietly, "there was a moment I thought about giving up. Selling the place. Your grandma and I dreamed of this farm, but she's gone, and I'm fighting alone." My stomach twisted, but then he straightened, that fire back in his eyes. "But my dad always said, if you let bullies push you, soon you've got nowhere left to stand. I'm not giving up." The next blow was a forged letter from the county, claiming the toll booth violated zoning laws. Granddad called the county office, confirmed it was fake, and got a clerk so mad about the forgery she offered to write a statement. Meanwhile, Sarah and I uncovered more. Patricia's fence wasn't just on Granddad's land, it had never belonged to the HOA. Tom's surveyor buddy pulled old county records showing the path as a private easement tied to the farm. Armed with this, Granddad went on the offensive. We printed flyers exposing Patricia's lies or job termination, the fake letters, the illegal fence, and delivered them to every house in Pinecrest. The next morning, I caught Patricia on camera, tearing up a flyer on her lawn, her face a mask of fury. She knew she was losing. Then came Patricia's desperate final play, an email blast claiming Granddad was selling the farm to developers for a strip mall, complete with a gas station and fast food joint. She even hired a slick-talking guy, Nathan Brooks, to go door-to-door with fake documents, scaring retirees and parents with tales of noise and traffic. The rumor spread like wildfire. Neighbors who'd waved at Granddad started avoiding him. Someone left a note on his truck. "Sellout." I found him by the fence one day, staring at the empty horse pens, his voice low. "The worst part about lies, Caleb, isn't that folks believe them. It's that they want to. It's easier to think I'm a greedy old man than a neighbor fighting for what's his." But that spark flickered back. She's digging her own grave, and I'm about to hand her the shovel. Nathan made the mistake of visiting the farm, claiming to be from Summit Development. Granddad played along, asking for permits and licenses Nathan couldn't produce. I got it all on camera. Nathan's stammering retreat was gold. Granddad followed up with an open house, inviting the whole neighborhood to see his real plans: horse pens, a kids' riding program, and a modest home upgrade. Over 70 people showed up, and when he showed the permits proving no developers were involved, the tide turned. The video of the event, paired with Sarah's expose on Nathan's paid gig, hit 100,000 views. The climax came during a live stream we set up at the toll booth, titled HOA Fraud Exposed, Live at Tate Farm. We went live at rush hour, promoting it across local forums. Granddad stood by his gate, holding up Patricia's fake documents, tearing them apart one by one as he explained their flaws. Sarah shared her dossier: Patricia's firing, the forged county letter, Nathan's invoice. The chat blew up 1-800 viewers and climbing. Then, like a villain in a bad movie, Patricia's rental car screeched into frame. She stormed up, waving new legal papers, screaming about harassment. Granddad calmly debunked them on camera. They were printed on the back of a gas station receipt. The chat erupted with laughing emojis as 2,500 viewers watched her unravel. Tom arrived with county records, proving the path was Granddad's. Sarah handed out copies of Patricia's termination letter. Neighbors showed up, VIP pass holders cheering, even some of Patricia's allies looking shaken. Patricia's rants about community standards fell flat. Their lies were bare for all to see. When she realized she was live to thousands, she tried to shut us down, claiming privacy on Granddad's land. Granddad just smiled. "You came here, Patricia. Now the world's watching." She fled to her car, the stream hitting 12,000 views. Granddad opened the gate, declaring free VIP access for a week to celebrate Truth Day. The crowd roared. 3 days later, Patricia resigned as HOA president, citing personal reasons. Sarah's contacts confirmed she faced a county investigation for forging documents. The fence came down, thanks to Tom and a crew of volunteers. Kids played freely, and yards bloomed with personality, no longer stifled by HOA rules. But Granddad had one last surprise. With help from a local sculptor and donations from neighbors, he unveiled a permanent gateway where the fence once stood. On a crisp August morning, 250 people gathered, neighbors, reporters, even city officials. When Granddad pulled back the tarp, the crowd gasped. The wooden arch, painted in vibrant blues and golds, was carved with scenes of horses and community. The sign read, "Emerson's Gate, managed by Liberty," a nod to Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays on freedom. It was a quiet jab at Patricia, who'd pass it daily, a reminder of her defeat. At the ceremony, neighbors shared stories of fighting HOA overreach, inspired by Granddad. Sarah announced a book on HOA reform, starring Granddad's saga. Kids gave him a sign for his toll booth. Honorary mayor of Emerson's Gate, decorated with doodles of Patricia's SUV crashing. Granddad teared up, and I knew this wasn't just about a gate, it was about a community rediscovering its spine. As folks lingered, someone suggested Granddad run for HOA president. His grin said he was tempted. "Patricia did us a favor," he told me later, watching kids play by the gate. Sometimes it takes a bully to remind folks what neighbors are for. A week later, at 6:45 a.m., a U-Haul rumbled down Pinecrest. Patricia, in sunglasses, loaded boxes in silence. No one waved. The toll gate clicked shut behind her, like a period on her reign. The booth still stands, more a joke than a toll now, and VIP passes are framed like trophies. This wasn't just a win, it was a wake-up call. Power belongs to those who stand their ground, not those who scream loudest. So, what do you think? Should Granddad run for HOA? Have you ever faced an HOA tyrant like Patricia, and how'd you fight back? Drop your stories below, hit that like button if you cheered for Granddad, and subscribe for more tales of everyday rebels taking on the system. And one last question. If you were Granddad, would you have torn down that gate or built something even crazier to make a point? Let's get this debate rolling.